Everybody, welcome back to another episode of FSi DFS Fantasy NASCAR Picks. I'm host Megaroar31. I apologize. There wasn't a truck video yesterday. It was impossible with the CrowdStrike thing going on. Like I couldn't get into Excel, and then I work in retail, and I do a lot of IT stuff there along with my normal job. And I was manually erasing the bad updates and multiple computers. It took our pharmacy down, it took our receiving down, it took our accounting down. It was just a mess. So with lack of time and with lack of information like pulled. I just couldn't get to it. I barely got out the sheet and the projections for the team, but they were decent. We move on to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway here. Pocono last week's kind of comparable. They ran here last year. They're about two dominators. Ty Gibbs pretty much dominated the whole race, pulled away from the field, and a very, very strong car there. So this is a speculation video. I don't have practice of qualifying, but most of you have said that you do enjoy these videos and it does help you think about each driver and different scenarios. So we'll go through that. They did have practice already, so I do have the practice positions up there and their 5 lap average. So we'll just go through the field. We'll break it down. And if you want the official thing, then come and join us. Go to the description of the video. The pricing page is in there for FSi DFS. It's $5 for the weekend. And then if you just pay one more dollar, you get like for the day, you'll get all the cores for all the sports. So, and depending on when you sign up, like most of the cup stuff should be out anyways too. So it's you don't have to sign up for NASCAR weekend. If you pay one more dollar, you're gonna get the cores for MLB today, for WNBA if it's out there, the final cores for the PGA events. So a couple things there for a dollar more. Anyways, let's get into this here. So I really like my model and data and how things came out here. Uh, Again, these projections are going to change when we get the true starting positions, but I think they show a pretty decent picture here. So model like Chandler Smith and Cole Custer to pretty much be the ones that come up and are the ones that should be starting close to the pole and close to the front on this one. I don't object to either one being a dominator. Obviously, Chandler Smith has a decent price break from Custer. And Joe Gibbs Racing, obviously, last year with the Ty Gibbs car, just absolutely dominated here. So, I mean, that bodes well for Chandler Smith also. The two all star drivers we'll get to. And if you're looking over the sheet right now and you've watched this show, you are in utter shock. And I'll get to that in a minute. You know exactly what I'm talking about. I'll explain when I get there. So, with these two, their practice speeds overall, like 24th Channel Smith, I'm not super uh, worried about that, but I like the 5 lap average. These guys were 2 and 3 for fall off on this track, and there should be, like in truck race, there are a lot of green flag runs or very few cautions. And I think that, of course, the truck race was on a short track. Never mind, you can't even compare that. But even Pocono last week, like I mean, it's different. It's the with the whole tricky triangle thing and some of the turns cause more accidents. But Indianapolis is usually a pretty green long run track here, from what I'm saw for most of the series that have run here. So I think if there are, then these 5 lap averages are very important. I think that those two make sense to be your dominators. I don't object to playing both of them if you feel strongly on that. If they do end up qualifying first and second. Allgaier, definitely some upside. Third fastest in practice, 9 with 5 lap average. You use it as a decent fall off. It's not a huge tire wear track, but like some of them, but there should be some fall off. Creed, I mean, he's been knocking on the door. He's another JGR car here that could have a decent setup where they nailed it last year and looked really good with Gibbs and some of the other cars on the team. But I think that like Allgaier, unless he's on starting first or second, is going to be an upside dominator, not a purple dom. Creed's always an upside one just because he's getting closer and closer. He's maturing. He's not making as many mistakes. But unless starts first or second, I don't think I can give him the purple one. And Sammy Smith and Jones would be the next two. Both JR Motorsports cars. I see Smith as an upside dominator. Brandon Jones, there's a specific type of track I like him on. This is not the one. 14th and 5 lap average. And Sammy Smith is a little concerning to it. At 19th, it looks like, there's a little bit of fall off there from his overall practice speed. So both these, I think, would be GPP unless for some reason they start first or second. But still, I think they'd be upside dominators over the other ones. If like Smith or Custer or Allgaier start in third, I think they definitely could get out ahead of them and be a more of a primary cash dominator. So I don't think I'd play any of them there. Look, Almirola, I'm going to get the prime play here. He's back after whatever happened. So many rumors, like was it a fight with Bubba Wallace or something else that he was filling in for this Joe Gibbs team, and there was a fallout, and he disappeared for a while. But now he's back again. Joe Gibbs car. It's not the 19, but the 20 is still one of the all-star cars. I do think that he can hop into this car and go out there and just absolutely dominate this race. 10th in practice, six in five lap. It's a decent track for him. And he's not racing for stage points. So that always bodes well. He can pit early, short pit, get out there, get track position, get the lead, and then while everybody cycles through, and if it's hard to pass him, then I think he could stay out there and get a lot of laps. My model has him leading the most laps here, almost 20% of it, just based on what he's done in the past, track history, and the fact that he's not racing for stage points. So I think that he is going to be a prime play, probably no matter where he starts in the field for me. I don't think that's going to change based on practice qualifying unless he's like starting like first and has to start in the back of the field. But still, I think again he should be able to get back up there pretty fast. Riley Herbst didn't do too bad here last year, 12th. So even if the game was finished in Pocono last week wasn't too bad. He's always in GPP for me. I think he has the upside just with having the fastest 5 lap speed. If he doesn't run into trouble or make any mistakes on pit road, I think that he's always one that you can consider. And I think I'll definitely he's probably gonna be part of my GPP core depending on like where he qualifies here, just based on the speed and everything I saw in practice. Austin Hill has the highest price tag, and he finished fourth here last year. Uh, I just don't understand like why he's so expensive. Maybe somebody else has another read on this. Like it wasn't last week he finished seventh after starting 11th at Pocono, which is similar track. So it's kind of getting that. Have him as an upside dominator because you gotta be with his price tag. He's not going to pay off 10-5 unless he goes out there and leads a bunch of laps. So, I mean, if you're not playing as a dominator in some of your GPP scenarios, if you're trying to like come up with a narrative, then he's going to be a fade. Uh, unless he's got a chance for a lot of place differential because it's even with a lot of place differential 10-5. I mean it's not like egregious like when Kyle Busch is like racing in these series and he's like 12-5 or 13th, but still being the highest priced driver I think he needs a little bit of laps led, and with 11 the practice and the fall off in the 5 lap down to 20th, then that's just a little bit concerning. Let me just see lap averages if he had like a 10 or well, yeah, very few of them ran like 10 lap averages, and his 10 lap fell off a little bit more. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. AJ Allmendinger. I really like AJ Allmendinger here. Last year he finished third and he actually led 21 laps. Last week at Pocono started 10th, finished sixth. So I think this is a decent track for him. And he was ninth in practice and fifth, depending on where he qualifies. I think he makes a cash play. I don't think he's going to be a dominator. I don't know if he's going to lead laps, but AJ Allmendinger might become a prime play here over Alfredo. It's those two are the ones that I toyed with to be the third prime play, and it's all going to be about their starting position. But AJ Allmendinger could also be at one of the 20K guys that I would play as the core of my 20K lineup. If he's starting like third, fourth up there, and everybody's going to overlook him, being like, oh, he's starting too far forward, he's not going to play him, just based on the success that he's had and the speed that he showed in practice and qualifying. I think, colleague has really struggled in some of these races, but this so far in practice and qualifying, practice so far, it looks like in what we saw in Pocono that they might have it here. So there's still like 7 races for the playoffs, so we're not super concerned about that. But I think that he has some upside, and I think they really want to try to win on a road course. But this is probably a track where you can be competitive too and pick up a good finish. So I really like AJ Allmendinger. Not enough to make him prime yet, and not enough to make him a 20K, but those tags might change when I come out with the final things based on his qualifying position. But I definitely think he's playable. Love the same thing. He's had floor all season long, started really well. If he gets up higher and starts in like the top five, he might become an upside dominator, maybe more of a GPP play. But if he's just outside the top 10, usually he gets up there in the top 10, had some decent fall off, top 10, 5 laps average. So I think he's a good one for cash. Mayer, last year started 15th, finished second, led 5 laps. He started 12th, finished 10th. Again, just a range of outcomes with him is just he's one of those drivers that I feel is like really boomer busty. I do like the 21st in practice, but 13th and 5 lap, but still it's outside the top 10. So I can't really and 95, like he's one of the higher price drivers. So you're gonna maybe need to get some laps led there. Which I'm not saying is out of the question that he could lead a couple laps in between, like cycling through and stuff to get a couple of those points. So, but he's still going to be a GPP for me. Josh Breer, I'm gonna as a cash play. Practice not practice was average. 5 lap average was horrible. But were they doing adjustments where they're trying to figure out things just because he raced his car last week at Pocono, and it looks like maybe he'll be in this. But last week he started 14th and he started 27th and ended up 27th. Kind of struggled here, and last year he was in the eights. Where did he finish? 14th after starting third. So maybe he was more of a GPP play here. Even though my model is looking at the fact that I guess we'll have to see where he qualifies, but I think maybe GPP might be right for him here. But he does have a lot of upside and I think maybe he and Herbst is where you kind of start your GPP lineups because they have a ton of ceiling, but the floor is kind of shaky. So Josh Berry again is one that is a top driver. He did really well when he raced in Xfinity Series previously, and he's not running for stage points, so he has the upside there. Ryan Sieg is always a solid cash play. His practice is like if he's qualified somewhere in like the high teens, that makes a lot of sense there. 5 lap average, seventh. So there is some upside there. Parker Retzlaff had the fastest car in practice, but the fall off was horrible in the 20s. And that's the same thing for the next 3 cars here. So Retzlaff, Klingerman, and Jeb Burton. The reason I have Retzlaff, who looks like he was in the same situation as the rest of these as a GPP play, is because last year he kind of struggled at this track. He finished 17th after starting 24. So I guess it's all going to depend on where these guys all qualify. Obviously, Klingerman is usually a great floor play no matter where he starts. Fifth, I don't know, at 29th again. Maybe they're playing around with stuff, trying to adjust the things. He finished seventh last year after starting 12th. Like this guy's a perennial top 10 uh, driver. Last week he started 15th and ended eighth. So Parker Klingman usually ends up in the top 10. He usually has floor. He's usually a solid cash staple play in a mid range if you can get there. If you're going boom, if you're playing like all these like high price drivers, if there's like two 10K guys that diff in qualifying and like are starting in the 30s and you got to lock them in as good chalk and there's no way you're going to get to the 8K range, I get it. But if you're building a balanced lineup in cash, Parker Klingman's usually a solid option for you. Jeb Burton usually is also fourth overall in speed, 28th again. Didn't have a chance with my crazy day yesterday to watch qualifying, so I'll have to see. The one other thing that I failed to mention too is I saw it has like Ryan Sieg slash Noah Gragson, so I don't know what's going on there. So just keep an eye on that story. If I see anything in the notes, I'll throw in there. If you guys know anything, that's fine too. So if Ryan Sieg isn't racing this week, we need to know that because Noah Gragson is in the field, and Sieg won't get any points there. Or maybe Sieg couldn't make it, and then Gragson had to like practice in the car, and then Sieg's going to qualify it. So, but again, if he qualifies really well, it's going to be a driver change, so you have to go to the back of the field and have to move up if Sieg's actually racing and Noah Gragson is the one that's qualifying the car. So just keep an eye on that. Sorry, but back to these three again. Retzloff, I think GPP, Clearman and Burton can be cash plays, but it's all going to depend on where they start. Anthony Alfredo, I have as a prime play here. He usually doesn't qualify well. He usually qualifies somewhere in the teens. Uh, but actually, when he has qualified well, like closer to like the top 10, he actually has been able to hold his position. I think he's found some decent equipment. You can't really look at last year because he was in such a bad car uh, there. But last week he started 16th, finished 14th. Like he's usually at 6,600. He's got the consistency. Uh, Almost the top 10 to 5 lap average, top 10 overall speed. So usually like that. Jeremy Clements always starts like the race around 19th or 20th. He usually finishes the race around 19th or 20th. There's the floor there. Don't really look at the practice or 5 lap average because he again has the consistency. So I think that he's got floor for cash. And if you're not getting up to like the consistency of Klingerman, I think Clements is another one that you can consider though. Matt DiBenedetto, I'm going to put as my 10K drivers because I think people are going to look at his like averages and stuff and look at him and think like, okay, this he's not really going to be a good choice here. Last week he started 23rd, he finished 24th, but I just like that sixth overall in practice, 12 and 5 lap average. He's driven here before, so he's got experience on this track, and I think he's a solid driver. And even though this is probably the worst Ryan Seed car, he's done pretty well with it. So I think that he could be a sneaky guy to put in your 20K lineup. Shingen Gisbergen, I always put as a cash play. Uh, Unless he like wrecks in practice or qualifying. But I think that he just is really starting to figure out all these other types of tracks. Last week he started 26, finished 31st. So again, it depends on where he qualifies, but I think you usually can consider him in cash because he seems like such a quick study and he seems to do well. Not excel, but have enough floor usually to do well on everybody's in cash games where even on newer tracks he's solid there. Kyle Weatherman, like usually I like to play him in cash, but like he had no speed in practice, no speed in 5 lap average, and he did horrible here last year at Indianapolis. So I just don't know what's going on here. Last week he started 21st, finished 23rd. So I mean that wasn't bad, but I think he's gonna be a fade this week. I just didn't see anything that pointed to moving in the right direction. The DGM car is okay, but I do have some, apprehension with the tech on it. Brandon Poole, the Alpha Prime cars have been solid. So he didn't race here last year. Last week, started 27th, finished 26th. That's about like where he is here. So if he can finish where he starts at 6K, I think that's solid. I like Clements better, but Brandon Poole, I think if Clements like qualifies way too far forward and you need another cash play and Poole is starting 25th or below, then I think he might move to a cash play. Okay, here's where you're all going to ask, what is going on, Mega? Joe Graff Jr. makes his return. You guys know that I don't hate Joe Graff Jr. as a person. I hate playing Joe Graff Jr. in DFS. He could potentially be one of the worst drivers. And they gave him a 75K price tag, where the guy should be 5K. But he's in Joe Gibbs' equipment. He's in the car, which probably doesn't have the same team or anything remotely close to what Ty Gibbs had last year when he went out and absolutely dominated in this race. But I think I saw some articles that Joe Graff Jr. has taken the time that he's been out of Xfinity to go and really try to hone his craft and stuff. I don't think he's going to. And I think people are going to look and be like, okay, yeah, he's in the Gibbs car, but he's 7,500. It's Joe Graff Jr. There's no way in hell I'm playing him. And that's what my sentiment would be in cash also. But if I'm trying to take down a tournament, he is the one play that potentially could do it if he goes out there and actually is Joe Graff. We'll go 4.0 because we've been hoping for 2.0 and 3.0, and all of them have worked out the same as the. So maybe, fourth or fifth time's the charm here. Maybe he actually has it. And if you're trying to take down a GPP and win 20K, these are the risks that you need to take. Not in every single lineup, just in one lineup. If like if not, replace them with like I said, like AJ Allmendinger or there as like an upside side play, or like Sieg's in the same price range there. Like, you know, if you don't feel confident, then like out there, 18th in practice, 18th in 5 lap average. He's going to need to get probably in the top 20 to pay off his price tag. But if he goes out there and has a good run, and again, he's not racing in the series, so he doesn't need like stage points or anything like that. He and the team can go out there. He's got some data shared with him. If they coach him right, if he goes out there and just drives the car, it should be set up well and doesn't make any mistakes, which we're hoping for a lot here, then he could be a smash play. I would only play him in like the 20K lineup in one. I'd only play him in maybe like a GPP in one. He's definitely not going to be a cash play, even if he starts dead last. Um, I don't know. He might turn into chalk if that happens, and then I wouldn't play him. So, if he's starting like anywhere 34th on down, then the 20K price, the 20K tag is off of him because he's going to be super popular, and it's not going to work out. Quaffle has had a very successful start to his career here in Xfinity as a fill-in driver. Again, he's not racing for points, so he can do a lot of things. My projection has him as the second highest here, 19th overall practice speed, but fourth in 5 lap average. My model has him finishing third. He always qualifies in the 20s, but he always manages to get track position during the race and end up finishing top 10, top five. So I don't think anything's different here. I think he's going to have a great outing, and I think he's going to be a very popular play, and that's why I have him as one of my prime plays, and I don't think that that's going to change. Honeyman, Honeyman, we've called Moneyman. He's been a cash play, but it all depends on where he starts. But with the 30s in practice and 5 lap average, I don't see a ton of upside here. So I think he's a great GPP fill in play, but I don't think I can do in cash. Josh Williams usually has the floor for cash. This Kali car has been solid. I usually get anywhere from really close to 4x that I'm looking for. 20th in practice, 16th in 5 lap average. I want him starting 15th or less, preferably 20th or less to really lock him in cash. If he's higher than that, it'll probably be a GPP or a fade. Blicky's a fade, just it's not a road course, so I'm not super excited about him. Kyle Sieg, like I really like the practice in 5 lap average here. Depending on where he starts, if he starts down the 30s, he might turn into a cash play. He's really close with his average there. X value at 3.65. Like I said, I'm looking more for a 4, but he might be able to get there depending on his starting position. Right now, listen to Alpha Prime car. I just like the Alpha Prime cars. They've been solid. So 31's nothing really to get excited about, but the 23 and fall off is a decent upside there. So he might turn to a cash play depending on where he qualifies, but definitely a solid GPP fill in, and he saves you 1K over Kyle Sieg. Daniel Dye, another Kali car, the 10 here stepping in. He's solid. He actually just doesn't qualify well. And if he does qualify down here, he could actually be a prime play, even at 7,200. Or maybe he's the one that you pivot off of Joe Graff Jr. in your 20K one, because he was 16th in practice and 17th in fall off. So, I mean, that's definitely, if he's starting out down here in the 30s or whatever, then he definitely could be a cash play. If he starts anywhere above 20, then he becomes a GPP. If he starts ridiculously high, then he's obviously going to be a fade at the 7,200 price tag. There's no value there. BJ McLeod, welcome back. He's in an MBM car, but it's not the 66. It's the 13th, which I've seen him have Stuart Haas backing before, uh, and some other backing from some teams, but he's in a Chevy, so that's not going to work out. Um, I think it was back when he was like the BJ McLeod car, his own car. I just feel it's like so sad that he was um it wasn't able to keep his ride and keep his team going because like he started out the season very, very strong. And I think it's, very sad that he couldn't make it work. But let's see, the 13 is a Chevy, yeah. So there's no I don't think there's any Pauly or anybody backing this MBM car. So MBM is always kind of suspect, but he didn't have he had the worst one of the worst fall offs there. But I just at 5K, if you need a punt in cash, I think you can do it. Might be more of a GPP play. We'll see how he does in qualifying. But I like seeing BJ McLeod back. I like seeing what I saw early in the season, and I think him trying not to own a team and be too spread thin. Like Jordan Anderson, that was the same thing. He was trying to run a team and race in a car, and it just wasn't working out for him. But I think BJ McLeod, if just racing for another team, not having to focus on all the management of his other team during the weekend, might lead to a more successful run for him. So I don't think he's going to win a race, but I think he can get like 10 places differential points in a 5K. That's a great deal there. Perkins in the right and C car is okay here, 33rd, 24th, and 5 lap average. So that's okay. We'll have to see where he qualifies, but he is one that's racing for stage points and stuff. So it's a little bit detrimental versus all the other guys down here. David Starr, green light car. Look at the practice and qualifying. No way. Connor Daly, I think, is going to have some upside here. I don't think people are going to play him just based on if you look at his season data. His like average finishes are like 30th and 35th or so. But he does have some upside. He's in a Sam Hunt car, 26 in practice, 21st and 5 lap average. If he does qualify down here, I definitely think that he's a sneaky one to put in the 20K lineup to get your and if you do play these 320K guys, it gives you 9,700 left. So that's a decent amount of money to be able to use to be able to go and to get a decent amount of higher price drivers to fill out your lineup. And I'm not saying go wild in your full 20K lineup. Take these three ones and take some of the prime plays, the chalk plays, um, and have those to be even with the field on those plays to get you your raw points, and then use these 20K guys as differentiation. Garrett Smith, the GPP, like I said, I like the Alpha Prime cars, and they usually do pretty well on the track. So even though 37th in speed, 26, there was some decent fall off on all these Alpha Prime cars, which was pretty impressive, except for Pool. But the other two, like they did better and as the race went on. So I think again they might be attrition plays, but if you need pump plays, the Alpha Prime cars are solid. And Gase and Van Alts, I am not playing. They're not good drivers and not good equipment, and probably will be multiple laps down. And I don't think they can finish the race. So that's what I got for you. If you have any questions, put them in the chat below. Hit me up at Mega Ruler 31 on Twitter or X, whatever you call it nowadays. Eventually, we'll just call it X, but Twitter is still in my mind. So again, I said if you want more information on FSi DFS to get into our pricing page to sign up to get the actual sheet here before it comes out before the race. You can go into the description of the video and the link is there. And if these videos help us back as you continue to do with watching, like most of these get like 500 views, a couple ones get 800 to 1,000 views. So I super appreciate it. So you're already supporting by watching this video, especially this deep into it. If you're still listening to me talk now, you're awesome. But anyways, like, subscribe to our channel and share with your friends. So thank you. Good luck in your contest. Hope you have an amazing weekend. I'll have the cup video either tonight or early tomorrow, and I'll see you next time.